What if all the destructive power humanity has ever crafted was released at once in a single, localized point, not as a history of wars or a scattered series of geopolitical tensions, but as one singular, final act? Before we dive into the terrifying mathematics of our own extinction, take a moment to hit that subscribe button, because what you are about to discover might fundamentally change how you view the world we live in today. It begins with a thought experiment that borders on the impossible, yet remains anchored in the chilling reality of our modern arsenal. We are not talking about science fiction or some distant, far-fetched hypothetical. We are talking about 15,000 nuclear weapons buried deep beneath the earth, tucked away in silent silos, and drifting silently beneath the waves in hulls of steel. When we visualize these weapons, we often think of them as distant, abstract numbers held by governments. But what happens if we strip away the geopolitics, the treaties, and the distance? What if we gathered every single warhead, every ounce of refined radioactive material, every delivery system designed to turn a city into a memory, and stacked them into a single point on the map? The sheer scale of such a gathering is impossible for the human mind to fully grasp. Yet the laws of physics are relentless and precise in their predictions. To understand the magnitude, we must first look at the baseline. The bomb that leveled Hiroshima had a yield of 15 kilotons of energy, a blast that carved a permanent scar into human history. Modern thermonuclear weapons are far more efficient, with many reaching yields of over 1,000 kilotons. If you do the math, multiplying those 15,000 nuclear weapons by their individual destructive potential reveals a force that defies historical comparison. We have created a collective energy output that exceeds anything humanity has ever witnessed, and it sits there, dormant, waiting for a trigger that we are statistically closer to than many believe. Imagine the moment of detonation. It would not be a long, drawn-out conflict. It would be a singular, instantaneous event. The flash itself would be so blindingly intense that it would redefine the very concept of illumination, as the atmosphere around the site is ionized into a plasma state. Everything within a massive radius would not burn. The molecular structure of buildings, earth, and biological life would simply cease to exist, converted into the heat of a star momentarily brought down to the surface of our planet. This is the point where the fascination turns into something profoundly disturbing. The fireball would expand with the force of a tectonic event, tearing the landscape into a crater of impossible depth. But the explosion is only the first act of this tragedy. Think of the dust and the ash. Billions of tons of debris forced into the upper atmosphere. This is where the narrative shifts from a local incident to a global transformation. The debris would form a shroud, a literal veil that circles the globe and cuts us off from the primary source of life, the sun. We are talking about the onset of a nuclear winter, a phenomenon that has been studied by scientists to understand the fragility of our biosphere. The temperature would plummet, not in a matter of years, but in a matter of weeks, as the greenhouse effect is replaced by an absolute blockade of solar radiation. The rhythm of the planet would stutter and then fail. Without the sun, the cycle of photosynthesis breaks. The crops that feed our billions would wither in the fields. The forests, which act as the lungs of the world, would begin a slow, cold decline. This is the moment where civilization, as we understand it, would find itself at a crossroads. The collapse of the food chain is not a sudden snap. It is a long, agonizing erosion of our basic necessities. We often focus on the explosion, the flash, and the speed of the destruction. But the real horror lies in the silence that follows. It is a slow, cold, and relentless hunger. Stores would empty in days. The systems that keep our modern world functioning, our logistics, our power grids, our distribution networks, would fail because they rely on a delicate global interconnectedness that cannot survive a world plunged into darkness. The fragility of our existence becomes painfully clear when you realize how dependent we are on the status quo. In our current state, we operate under the assumption of stability, yet we maintain the tools for total erasure. This is the paradox of our era. We are the masters of our own potential destruction, and we hold that power with a casualness that is truly haunting. If we were to trigger this experiment, the Earth would physically survive. The planet is resilient, It has survived asteroid impacts and volcanic events that make our entire nuclear arsenal look like a firecracker. The biosphere might recover over millions of years, the crust would shift, and life, in some form, would likely find a way to persist. But the story of humanity, our art, our history, our dreams, and the very complex social threads that bind us together would be severed. Consider the implications for your own life. We spend our days chasing goals, building businesses, worrying about the future, and investing in our personal growth. We do this under the premise that there will be a future to step into. But when you look at the raw data of our nuclear capacity, you have to acknowledge the precarious ledge upon which we stand. This is not meant to paralyze you with fear, but to sharpen your focus. Understanding the scale of our destructive potential forces us to confront the value of the present. If we possess the power to end everything in a single moment, does that not make every moment of peace, every opportunity for connection, and every act of creation infinitely more valuable? The extreme nature of this scenario highlights the necessity of human wisdom. We have mastered the physics of destruction, but have we mastered the psychology of survival? As we move forward, the question becomes less about science and more about the human condition. Why have we built so much, and why do we maintain such an excessive capacity for our own annihilation? It is a question that probes the depths of our behavioral evolution. We are a species that likes to secure its future by over-preparing, yet we have reached a point where the preparation for the end has become an existential threat in itself. We have crossed a line where the logic of defense has evolved into the logic of extinction. When you look at the Earth from the perspective of longevity, you realize that we are just a brief flicker in the vast timeline of the universe. The choices we make today, the ways in which we manage our technology, and the priorities we set as a global society are the only things keeping that flicker from being snuffed out prematurely. The images of that hypothetical detonation, the chilling thought of a dark sun, and the image of a world without humanity are not meant to make you despair. They are meant to wake you up to the reality of your current existence. We are living in a time of unprecedented knowledge and power, and that power demands a level of responsibility that we are only beginning to understand. The path forward requires us to shift our focus from the accumulation of destructive potential to the cultivation of stability and understanding. It requires us to look at our neighbors, our nations, and our shared planet, not as objects to be defended at all costs, but as partners in a fragile, temporary existence. When you finish this video, I want you to step outside. Look at the sky. Look at the environment around you. Notice the sunlight hitting the trees or the buildings in your city. That light is what we are gambling with. That light is the foundation of everything we have ever built. The fact that we have the means to lose it at any moment should not be a cause for panic, but a catalyst for appreciation and a mandate for wisdom. We are the architects of our own destiny, and we are the only ones capable of ensuring that the story of humanity does not end in a flash of light, followed by a long, cold silence. This is the ultimate lesson of the atomic age. The power to destroy is not a sign of strength, but a test of our maturity. As we continue to advance our technologies, whether in AI, biology, or energy, we must carry this awareness with us. Knowledge without wisdom is a dangerous path. Curiosity about the universe and its phenomena is a noble pursuit, but it must be tempered by the realization that we are the stewards of this fragile, beautiful world. We have the intelligence to build these weapons, and we have the intelligence to build a future where they are no longer necessary. The choice is not just for our leaders, but for every person who chooses to engage with the world consciously. We are the thinkers, the builders, and the dreamers, and we are responsible for the legacy we leave behind. Think about the silence of those silos, the cold steel beneath the waves, and the massive weight of the history that led us to this point. If you want to continue exploring the deep mysteries of our world, the extreme possibilities of our future, and the psychological frameworks that define our success and our failures, make sure you are subscribed. We are going to continue peeling back the layers of this reality, exploring the boundaries of science and the depths of the human mind. If this narrative shifted your perspective or made you think about the permanence of our world, give this video a like. It helps others find these discussions, and the more we talk about these realities, the more we can collectively shift the dialogue toward a more sustainable and enlightened future. We are living in an era of incredible potential, The same ingenuity that allowed us to split the atom is the same ingenuity that allows us to solve the crises of our time, from climate stability to sustainable development. The difference lies in our direction. We can focus on the potential for destruction, or we can focus on the potential for evolution. Let your curiosity lead you toward solutions, not just to the study of the abyss. The world is waiting for those who can see the big picture and act with intention. Thank you for joining me in this exploration. Keep questioning, keep learning, and most importantly, keep striving for a future that is defined by our light rather than our shadows. The path is yours to walk, and the horizon is as wide as your vision allows it to be. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay mindful of the incredible, fragile reality we all call home. We have only this one chance to get it right. Let us make it count.